How long does it take for love to turn into something you should fear? The night their father was buried, 3 children learned the answer. As the funeral ended, neighbors offered their condolences and drifted off, leaving the children to follow their mother home in silence. At dinner she spoke, her tone steady, her smile fixed. "We've endured enough," she said. "Your father's death was sorrowful, yes, but grief is a weight that breaks families. What we need is stillness. A place away from the noise. A place where nothing can touch us." She set her hands on the table, fingers laced. "Tomorrow night, when the blood moon rises, I'll take you to Freetown. Just us. We'll stay there together." Jonah lowered his voice. "Freetown. That forest. But Dad always said." "Your father," she cut in, her voice snapping before it leveled again, "feared what he didn't understand. He mistrusted the old grounds. But we are not like him. We belong there. Your grandfather's house is near. We'll go there too." A night ago their father was buried beneath soil that seemed too eager to swallow him, the roses tossed onto his coffin blackening at the edges before the dirt could even cover them. Their mother stood motionless beside the grave, her hands clasped together in a grip so unyielding it looked less like grief and more like restraint, as if she were holding something back that wanted to escape. The cemetery held its silence like a threat. Jonah bit his cheek until blood touched his tongue, Emily twisted her dress until the fabric split, and Noah would not look away from the coffin, certain it would move. Their mother's weeping unnerved more than it comforted, because the sound repeated too precisely, each sob falling in the same rhythm as the last, like a recording caught in a loop. Her tears traced identical paths down her cheeks, leaving no moisture once they vanished along her jawline, as though her face consumed them. The neighbors huddled together a short distance away, whispering words that carried the shape of pity but the cadence of ritual, their gazes darting toward her with a focus too deliberate, their mouths twitching shut whenever one of the children turned in their direction. Nobody dared mention the truth of what had been found in the house, the body seated upright at the kitchen table with a grin that split too far across his face, the cavity of his chest hollowed into a void that should not have been able to exist. Nobody acknowledged the blackened patterns burned into the floor beneath him, curling into shapes that seemed to rearrange themselves whenever they were looked at for too long. The police had written it away as burglary, as meaningless violence, as the sort of thing that left no answers and required no further thought, their voices flat with the relief of being able to close the case before it sank its claws any deeper. That night their mother pressed her lips against their foreheads, and Jonah noticed the absence of warmth. Emily saw the faint shimmer of light bending strangely around her outline, and when she said sleep, the word sank into the room like a command carved in stone, and Noah's eyelids ached to obey. Emily bit her lip in silence, her small jaw trembling as though she knew something the others didn't. Why on the blood moon? Her mother's head tilted slowly, eyes locked on Emily with a precision, then she smiled. It was a detached smile, eerily serene, as if the warmth of humanity had been stripped away. Her whisper sliced through the stillness.
"Because it's beautiful. Nothing to fear. The world only remembers those who leave something behind. I carried you in my body once, now I carry what you give me into eternity. You were never meant for small lives, you were meant for something greater."
Noah, too young to understand, only nodded. Jonah felt a gnawing unease that wouldn't quite leave him alone. He was scared but couldn't let it show. The next evening they drove. The forest roads wound like veins into the heart of Massachusetts, deeper into the Fall River State Forest. Locals called it the Freetown Forest, though most refused to enter at night. The children sat in the back, watching the sky darken. A swollen red moon climbed above the trees, bleeding its light across the horizon. Jonah whispered, "I don't like this." Emily shook her head hard, nails digging into her arms. "It's not ours," she said, her voice tight, as though the clearing belonged to something else. Their mother kept driving without a glance at them. She was beautiful, slender, with long, straight black hair that shimmered like liquid under the dim light of the car. Her eyes held a hypnotic stillness. She hummed softly. When the car stopped, the forest leaned close around the clearing, the branches arching overhead like a cage. She lifted a leather bag that clinked with glass and metal, spread a blanket neatly on the ground, and set the candles in a ring. The flames guttered and fought, as if even fire wanted out. She guided the children into the circle.
"Sit. You'll be safe here,"
she whispered, and the night shuddered as if it knew she was lying. Jonah stayed on his feet.
"It's protection. No one gets out of the circle."
Emily trembled. "I don't like this." Their mother's hand shot out, gripping Emily's wrist.
"You cannot escape what comes."
Noah whimpered. At the start of the ceremony, their mother knelt and dragged the chalk in restless patterns that overlapped and split apart, shapes that looked more like fractures than drawings. She lit the incense, and the smoke curled low, clinging to the ground like it refused to rise. Her chant began softly, the syllables sharp and broken, scraping the air rather than filling it. The forest answered with sounds that belonged to no wind, branches cracking in sequence like knuckles, the soil giving a slow throb as if something massive pressed upward from beneath. Jonah clutched Emily's wrist and tried to move her, but the ground tightened under their feet, not gripping, not binding, just refusing release. Their mother's voice climbed until it no longer resembled language, more like a howl caught inside a throat, urgent and raw. The clearing was drowned in red as the moon bled through the branches, not casting light but soaking everything in color, so that their skin and the earth and even the smoke looked painted in flesh. What slipped from her lips sounded less like language and more like betrayal carved into sound.
"I give you my children, their blood, their breath, their beating hearts. Nixara, they are yours."
She cried to the dark. The children gasped. Emily choked out. "Offering of the Father." Jonah's heart stopped. He remembered that night. The knife, the blood, the kitchen, their father's scream, the realization made his soul shudder. The ground split. Thin cracks spread through the dirt, glowing faintly red. From the shadows between the trees, shapes gathered. At first, they seemed like mist. Then like people with black, long nails, their teeth long, pointed and projected outwards from their mouths, their bodies warped and twisted. At first, they shrieked. Then their voices joined their mother's, a low chorus that echoed through the forest though no lips moved. Jonah screamed.
"I offer my children, take them, and let your strength flow through me."
Why are you doing this, Mom? Please, please stop.
But she ignored. She pressed her hand to the earth, and the cracks widened. From within came a sound, not of rock breaking, but of something vast breathing. Noah sobbed, clutching his sister. Emily's face was pale, eyes wide with terror. The symbols on the ground responded to the energy in the air, the darkness creeping closer, suffocating the light till the candle flames turned black. And then, silence. Their mother froze mid-chant, her eyes widening as though she heard something the children couldn't. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. The hooded figures leaned closer, tilting their heads. The cracks in the ground pulsed faster. Jonah grabbed his siblings and pulled. This time, the invisible weight lifted, as though whatever held them wanted to see what they would do. They stumbled out of the circle. Their mother screamed after them, her voice deep and jagged, layered with a guttural edge that split into multiple tones, echoing through the clearing, rattling the trees, vibrating through the soil, and hanging in the air like a living thing. Her hands reached toward them, fingers stretching unnaturally long, nails black as ash, as if the blood of generations flowed through her in twisted form. The children bolted into the trees, the forest responding like a predator, branches whipping their faces, roots clutching at their feet, bending paths into endless loops. Flashes of red eyes glimmered between the shadows, shapes moving just beyond sight, as though the very woods were alive with the memory of their ancestors. Behind them, their mother's voice rose and fell, sometimes near, sometimes impossibly distant, echoing through the earth itself, carrying whispers of a lineage they had never understood. Jonah's mind raced. The woman he had called mother had been consumed long ago, her body only a vessel. He remembered her words, spoken in hushed reverence, that her grandfather had given her the relic, a gift meant to protect the family. But now he saw it clearly. It was never protection. It was inheritance. A fate written in blood, a curse threaded through their veins, pulling them toward a destiny none could escape. The horror was not just what had become of their mother, it was what awaited them, inscribed in the very blood they carried.
Jonah. Emily. Noah, come back, come back.
Jonah! Emily! Noah, come back, come back!
Her tone shifted, sometimes sweet, other times pure rage, and at times it was both at once. Noah stumbled. Jonah lifted him, carried him despite his shaking arms. Emily held Jonah's hand tight, refusing to let go. Finally, they burst into another clearing. For a moment, they thought they were safe. But then they saw it, the blanket spread out, the candles still burning low, the circle etched deep into the earth. The place hadn't gone anywhere. It had been waiting for them. Their mother stood in the center, smiling too wide, her arms spread as if to embrace them.
You cannot leave. You think I raised you for love? You were born for this. Blood binds stronger than prayers. Your father was too weak to understand, so I made him the first offering. Tonight, you complete the circle.
The moon above them pulsed like a heart. The ground rumbled. The hooded figures surrounded the clearing again. Jonah's chest tightened, the whisper sounded kind, almost familiar, yet it didn't belong to her. Stay, child. Come home. Be mine.
Don't listen. Don't let it in.
Noah whispered.
Your heartbeat is the offering it's been waiting for.
Emily squeezed his hand, her tears hot. Jonah stood between her and his trembling sister. Jonah knew now, their mother had been chosen. The others, their uncles and aunts, cousins even, had failed. They had lacked the courage, the darkness necessary to inherit it. They had died, quietly, one by one, leaving her as the vessel, the heir of a power that demanded sacrifice. And now the same fate waited for them. Jonah looked at his mother, her body twitching unnaturally, her eyes reflecting the blood moon, and the truth slammed into him. Their bloodline had never promised safety. It promised horror. And tonight, the family's reckoning had finally come. He took a hesitant step forward, his shoulders sagging as though the fight had drained from him. His mother's gaze faltered, her hardened mask slipping into something almost human. She opened her arms, unsteady, trembling with the weight of what had just been lost. He leaned into her embrace, pressing his face into her shoulder like a child seeking comfort. Her breath shivered out, uneven, and her hand began to rise, fingers brushing toward his hair. But his arms locked around her, not in tenderness, but in restraint. His grip tightened like iron. In one swift motion, his hand snapped to her throat, clawing at the cord that still clung there. With a violent tug, he wrenched it free. The broken charm spilled from her collar, dangling for an instant before he ripped it away. Her body seized, breath stuttering in her chest, her eyes wide with disbelief. She lurched at him, clawing, but he had already flung the fragments across the floor, where they scattered into useless shards. The sound that tore from her throat was not human, a guttural, hollow scream that seemed to shudder through the walls themselves. For a moment, the mother's face flickered, like a mask slipping. Her eyes looked almost human again. Jonah stood before her, pale and trembling, the poker still gripped in his hand. And then the earth inside the circle tore open with a scream, as if something beneath had been waiting. Jonah was swallowed whole. Their mother followed, her hand still reaching as the ground sealed shut again. A deep red light poured out, swallowing everything. Emily and Noah remained. What became of them, no one can say for certain. But the rumors persist. Some say the children were never seen again, their names whispered only in the haunted corners of the forest. Others claim hikers still hear their voices, a boy shouting, a girl crying, a younger child calling for his father, as if restless. There are those who swear they've seen a woman in black walking between the trees during the blood moon, whispering their names, promising she was not finished. But listen closely, because the truth lies buried beneath the roots of Freetown, waiting for the next family to wander too close. And it doesn't care what you believe. So, if you ever pass through the forest on the blood moon night and hear humming, don't look for the source. The moment the melody feels familiar, it means she's already behind you. Run. And never look back.